Welcome, everyone, to Progressive Discussions. I'm your host, James P. Madonna, and I've been doing this since 2007. It is Saturday evening, March the 25th, 2023. Yeah, that's what it is. We are approaching the last week of March, and April Fool's is right around the corner. April showers that brings May flowers. It has been a very mild winter. I mean, we have cold temperatures. Right now, instead of snow, we're getting a lot of rain because it just hasn't been cold enough to produce normal winter rain. It's climate change. So we'll see what April brings us. It's supposed to bring us, I mean, I can't say, oh, April's going to bring us tons of rain. Here comes the rain, because we've been having rain all winter. So I just want to say hello. Tommy Carroll, how are you? I hope you and everyone had a pleasant week and an equally pleasant weekend. Yeah, well, I try. I got a little bit of a late start, but it wasn't that late. about 5 minutes. Anyway, the beginning of the show is going to be 2 Jesse Ventura recent videos. Let's see what we got here. Okay. As I always say, bear with me, because I have to go through the process of screen sharing like I normally do. That should do it. Okay, this is the first video. The 20th anniversary of the Iraq War. Wow, 20 years already.
Jesse Ventura, the governor, on Die First, Then Quit. You know, I'm going to toot my own horn a little bit and crow a little bit, because it was well over 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago now, I lost my job at MSNBC. And why did I lose my job at MSNBC? Because I was opposed to the invasion of Iraq. I opposed the Iraq War. I opposed it from day one, and therefore I wasn't allowed on MSNBC. They also pulled Phil Donahue at the time, who was their highest rated show, because Phil likewise opposed the invasion of Iraq. I remember the phone call that came in. Is it true Governor Ventura doesn't support the invasion of Iraq? No, he's a Vietnam veteran. He's opposed to it, the subordinate said. Does Connecticut know about this? Well, what that meant was, who owns MSNBC? At the time, it was Microsoft, and NBC was owned by General Electric. Well, if you look into General Electric, you'll find they're a huge war contractor. When we go to war, General Electric makes a lot of money. So here they own a station where they're going to have an announcer speaking out against war. You know, that wasn't going to happen. Then we got to the third question. Was there any chance Jesse would change his mind? The subordinate said, no way. He's a Vietnam veteran. This is a military decision. He is against the war in Iraq. I was right. There were no weapons of mass destruction. There were no ties to Al-Qaeda. And isn't it interesting how the courts just found for Putin, he's going to have a difficult time traveling internationally now because he's considered a war crime. Isn't that the same thing they did to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney after the Iraq War? And let's look at those a minute. Here's my challenge to you people. Somebody please tell me the difference between when Russia invaded Ukraine and we invaded Iraq. They were both done for the same purpose. Regime change. They're both based upon lies. The only differences I see between these two wars, we were successful in the regime change. Russia has not been successful so far. That is the only difference. And I challenge anybody out there, government officials, people in the Pentagon, tell me the difference between us invading Iraq and Russia's current invasion of Ukraine. They were both done for the same reason, and they were both based upon lies. So we're a bit hypocritical, aren't we?
Yeah, and they found no weapons of mass destruction. The wars that were put on a credit card. I don't know. We all know that most of the 9/11 culprits were Saudis. They weren't even really Taliban people there. They were Saudis. The evil Saudis. Hello, Mr. Bart Robinson from Western New Jersey, and Tommy Carroll, of course. Good evening to you. I hope your weekend is going well. Oh, yeah, good. That's good to hear. Okay, we're going to The second and last Jesse Ventura video, recent video. All right, and then we'll get on to the subjects at hand. All right, as I always say, bear with me. I wish screen sharing was quicker and easier, you know. Okay, everyone. Hey, Gunner. Gunner is too alpha. You're too alpha for your own good. Remember that song, I'm too sexy for my shirt, too sexy for my shirt, too sexy it hurts? Remember that old song? Oh, Pfizer, that scumbag. He took a huge extra chunk of profit to stuff his pockets. The CEO, the guy that sounds like Henry Kissinger, sounds like a Zionist, the CEO of Pfizer, that scumbag. That's one of the articles I'm going to read tonight. You must be psychic, Gunner. Waiting for my wire transfer from the Chinese People's Republic. My very long-time friend in mainland China says, how come you Americans are so paranoid and afraid of an innocent balloon? It's only a balloon. It's only a balloon. I says, the spy balloons. She goes, nah, they're weather balloons. Okay, anyway, let's go back to Jesse Ventura. This little balloon, you're afraid of balloon. You know, remember, I don't know if you remember F Troop, the Hakawi Indians. It is balloon. Yeah, I watched the old the YouTube video of that scene. It's so funny.
Hi, Governor Jesse Ventura here for Die First, Then Quit. Well, I haven't died yet, so I'm not quitting. One thing that has me disturbed that I want to highlight and hit today is this. I come from the generation commonly referred to as the duck and cover generation. We grew up in grade school back in the 50s and early 60s, and we had to do something called duck and cover in school. Like you have fire drills in school, you had duck and cover drills where they taught you that in case of a nuclear attack, the bombs are coming and you're in school, well, all you have to do is put your head under the desk and duck and cover. And allegedly, I guess that would save you, calm you, make you think, well, everything's okay. It's bullshit. To be blunt, you're not going to survive anything if that happens. Why would you BS the kids into thinking they will by duck and cover? And here we are. It's our generation now that's leading the world. The duck and cover generation is leading the world. The people who grew up to this Cold War and fear of an all-out destruction of the planet because of the bombs. And here we are doing it to another generation. Is the new generation in school today going to have to go through the phony duck and cover? Are we going to make them do that to calm them and make them feel it's okay and that we're not in any danger? Wouldn't my generation have learned that it isn't a good idea, duck and cover? Why not end this confrontation that won't end between powers of the world threatening to blow up the planet? Now, having said that, Jesse Ventura has come up with the peace plan. Nobody else seems to come up with one, but I got one. It came to me the other day. Russia invaded Ukraine. We want them out of there. We want to save Ukraine. Ukraine's a nation that deserves to be its own country. That's all it wants. Russia has no right to annex Ukraine, no right to take it under the old Soviet Union and to go backwards in time. I got the peace plan. Russia pulls out of Ukraine, we'll pull out of Syria. What are we doing in Syria? We have a base there that just got attacked. Well, I say we pull out of Syria, Russia pulls out of Ukraine, and guess what? That means two wars end, and we step towards peace. Whoa, I better watch out. I'm talking about peace. There could be a bullet waiting for me.
Yeah, we're still in Syria. Actually, we're in quite a few countries. The United States in military-industrial complex has occupied many countries. I think there's several hundred or almost 1,000 U.S. military bases in existence. Just think of how much tax dollars can be saved by closing all of these really, I mean, unnecessary U.S. military bases. Just think of that. Send the troops home. If you want to give them something to do, border patrol, south of the border, finish the wall. And I don't mean like a wall made of low budget, shoddy material. I mean a good wall. Finish it. Watch the border. I mean, we don't need all these military bases. It's an occupation. I've said it so many times before. Well, Gunnar, I think sounds like Ukraine is winning. The death toll amongst the Russian personnel, I mean soldiers, is pretty high. No, because Putin, like any other dictator, narcissist, egomaniacal individual, would rather see his own people perish than to concede. You know, these people will never concede. They will never apologize to anyone. It's just how they are. Okay. Let's get back to the plan at hand. Speaking of, you know what? Speaking of Pfizer, being that Gunnar brought it up, let's see. Scum, what a scumbag. Now what? Are they shoving bullshit in front of my face? Advertisements? What's going on? They won't let me see the article? What's going on here? Son of a bitch. How do I get rid of this? I don't want to navigate the stock market with alpha. Get the fuck out of here. Son of a bitch. Now I can't get rid of this. You know what? Let me summarize it. Every time I try to watch a video connected to breaking news, you know, or an important article, they use like extortion, you know, where if you don't register and sign up with them, subscribe to their publication, then you can't read the article. I don't know, between that and China not paying attention to international maritime laws in the South China Sea, trying to take over the entire South China Sea. World War III might be right around the corner. We might very well be living in the end times. I hate to say it. Yeah, you're damn right. No one, and I mean no one, citizen, CEO, politician, butcher, baker, candlestick maker, should be above the law. No one should be above the law. No one. Okay. Now, the pricks are not letting me read the whole article. So what I'm going to do is, let me see if I can. You see, this is what I'm up against. I had no problem the other day looking at it. It says here, can't get rid of this. It says here, I know it's not easy to see. Pfizer CEO pockets $33 million for 2022 after 36% pay hike. I can't even show his ugly face. Oh, man. Yeah, you know what? That's what he stuffed in his pockets. That's what he stuffed in his pockets. So you're right. You're right, Gunner. Shit. I wanted to read the article. Crap. Yep. I never liked the guy. Every time he was interviewed with that voice of his, that creepy voice, I couldn't stand him. All right. This sounds interesting. Take this. No. Oh, here we go. The world's first solar panel carpet on railway tracks may generate electricity. Well, it's really idle land just sitting there. Why not? I mean, nobody has a picnic near railroad tracks. It's not aesthetically pleasing to the eyeballs for people to hang out there and take the family, you know. It's often rather unpleasant land along the track. So why not put solar panels? The Swiss startup's pilot project will focus on the Western public rail system and cost around $437,240. And oh, you fuck. I'm trying to get rid of this. There we go. So here's interesting. So the solar panels are actually on the tracks beneath the rails. Huh. I thought they were like alongside, but no. They're right beneath the rails. This is interesting. Look at this, folks. I'm gonna make sure you're seeing it. Huh. The idea behind the Sunways Railway is to erect solar panels in the space between rail lines. Very clever. Leave it up to Europeans to be logical and come up with great ideas and inventions. European startup Sunways has devised a mechanical device to deploy removable solar panels along railway tracks. This innovation could be implemented on half of the railway lines across the globe according to the Switzerland-based energy startup. The area between railroad lines is broad enough to accommodate standard-sized solar panels without impeding train passage, claims co-founder Sunway's Baptiste Danicher. This way, we, Switzerland, could produce some of the electricity we need, said Danicher. Large installations are difficult to construct due to, let me get this fucking shit out of here. Large installations are difficult to construct due to a lack of available space. However, solar panels between rails, on the other hand, have no visual or environmental impact, he added. What is the process? Sunways employs factory pre-assembled solar panels from Switzerland. The 1 meter wide panels are simply positioned between train lines and fastened to the rails using a piston mechanism. There it is, close up. The panels will unfold while a specially constructed train runs along the track. So the panels are interconnected, and they will just drop into the space between the rails. A train created by Swiss track upkeep company Schuser performs installation mechanically. The train spreads the photovoltaic panels out along the rail track like an unrolling carpet as it travels, according to Sunways. Solar panel installation along railroad tracks is not a novel concept. Photovoltaic components mounted on railroad sleepers are being tested by 2 additional businesses, Italy's Green Rail and England's Bankset Energy. However, in partnership with EPFL, the Swiss Federal Technology Institute in Lausanne, Sunways is the first to have patented a removable system. Danicher declares that is the innovation. According to him, the ability to remove the panels is necessary in order to perform maintenance tasks like rail grinding. Trains continue to travel along the lines without incident thanks to rail grinding. All right. Okay. That's enough. Tommy Carroll, JPM. We have one of the strongest American presidents in history. If he could remember where to pick up the check. Well, I'm happy that he gave up the very bad habit of inhaling young female scalps from behind and asking children at the swimming pool to pet the hair on his legs. Right? It could be worse. But he, as far as doing beneficial things for the bottom 98%, no president in history has accomplished so much within one term that Joe Biden has. But he's not perfect. He needs to start remembering the promises he made to Bernie Sanders for getting the voting support of Bernie Sanders people. he made some promises to Sanders, because Sanders, held his feet to the fire. You want me to endorse you? You want my people to vote for you? You got to start making some things a reality that will really benefit the 98%. You mean preventing railroad incidents, grinding? I have no idea what grinding is. I know grinding is probably involves grinding. Grinding, maybe smoothing the rails out. Maybe the rails get damaged over time, wear and tear. I'm just assuming what grinding is. Okay. All right. What do we got here? Oh, interesting. This has to do with Android phone users, which I am one of them. I am very happy with my Android. I'll be right with you. Let me bring the page up. East Palestine. Actually, East Palestine is west of the real Palestine, when you think about it. Okay, Google urges Android phone users to switch off Wi-Fi calling to avoid getting hacked. And I did that just the other day after reading this. Go to settings, people, and go to where it says, Wi-Fi and your connection and everything, and shut off Wi-Fi calling. Google's Project Zero team discovered multiple security flaws with Samsung Galaxy smartphones that could allow hackers to target devices easily. All a hacker would need is the victim's phone number, which can be used to compromise the phone without the user knowing anything is wrong. Okay. Tests conducted by Project Zero confirmed that those 4 vulnerabilities allow an attacker to remotely compromise a phone at the baseband level with no user interaction and require only that the attacker know the victim's phone number. With limited additional research and development, we believe that skilled attackers will be able to quickly create an operational exploit to compromise affected devices silently and remotely. Google said the devices affected are Samsung Galaxy phones, including those in the S22, M33, M13, M12, A71, A53, A33, A21, A13, A12, and A4 series. Vivo phones, including those in the S16, S15, S6, X70, X60, and X30 series. Google Pixel 6 and 6 Pro, Pixel 6a, Pixel 7, and 7 Pro. Any wearables that use the Exynos W920 chipset. any vehicles that use the Exynos Auto T5123 chipset. All right, Samsung is aware of the issue and is currently working on a fix. Yeah, okay. However, until a solution is found, Google says users can protect themselves by turning off Wi-Fi calling in their device settings. How to turn off Wi-Fi calling? Navigate to and open settings. No shit. Tap connections. Tap Wi-Fi calling. Tap the switch to turn the feature off. On some phones, you can also disable Wi-Fi calling from the quick settings panel. Swipe down from the top of the screen. Tap the Wi-Fi calling icon to turn it off. Yeah, that's if the Wi-Fi calling icon is not microscopic. You know, I'd rather just make it simple. Just go to settings. Unbelievable. Well, at least they're explaining it for the simplest of simpletons out there. Oh, this is not good. This is not good at all. Invasive species article concerning, of course, South Florida. There are so many invasive species in South Florida that are from tropical areas, of course, and you know, it comes from the pet trade and people irresponsibly just dumping the animal in the wilds of South Florida, and then they breed, and the rest becomes a serious crisis, often endangering native species. What is this shit? Every fucking article I bring up, every fucking article, they just bombard me with advertisements. Feck. I ain't gonna work. Hold on. Seem to be having a problem here. Fix this problem. Oh, there we go. Try this again. New study. Florida's invasive pythons are multiplying rapidly and spreading north. Oh, that's not good. Burmese pythons are very aggressive and they get very large. They're definitely endangering native species. Oh, and they got the font so tiny. Releasing what it calls a comprehensive synthesis of Burmese python science, the U.S. Geological Survey announced early last month that the giant invasive snakes have now spread beyond their core range in the South Florida Everglades and into places like West Palm Beach and Fort Myers, Florida. The study calls Florida's python invasion, one of the most intricate invasive species management problems across the globe. Well, they need to get a really good machete like I have. Just chop their heads off when they see them on their property. The study calls Florida's python invasion one of the most irretractable invasive species management problems across the globe. And it says that as the snakes continue to spread north, leaving a trail of ecological devastation in their wake, eradication of the species is impossible with existing tools. So I guess the brief freezing temperatures that hit Florida in the recent past did nothing to kill them off. And the eastern indigo snake, a beautiful snake, it's threatening the eastern indigo, which is a native species, very unique snake, and not to mention other species. Well, you know, they're working on it. The font is so small. It really, I don't know how they expect people to read this article, but it's a problem. And I think the Burmese pythons entered the Florida wilderness by way of Hurricane Andrew, who let them loose from like a reptile exhibit of some kind. They even found a green anaconda in the Everglades, which is the largest snake in the world, but it was very docile and laid back. It wasn't aggressive at all. They were able to pick it up, and so they feel that it belonged to someone as a pet, and the asshole just dumped it. Unbelievable. Can't even, the font is just so tiny. I can't read it. What's this? Oh, man. Well, this is scientific. It's a new method of aircraft propulsion, which is exciting. Okay. I guess you're getting a good shot. DARPA funded electric sky on threshold of aviation revolution with whisper beam. Seattle, Washington-based aviation technology company Electric Sky has announced a significant breakthrough involving its whisper beam power beaming technology, funded by the U.S. military's Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, DARPA. Whisper beam is designed to send power wirelessly to vehicles while in flight using only radio waves. Now I know why I kept this article, because I want to bash these people that are taking credit for something that another great man of the past was working on and invented, pretty much. Okay, whisper beam will be perfectly poised to herald a dramatic shift in how passenger aircraft, flying taxis, drones, and satellites carry and consume the energy that keeps them aloft. In an interview with The Debrief, Electric Sky's CEO and co-founder, Robert Millman, explained how he and his partner, Jeff Greason, first stumbled upon the idea of using power beaming to send energy to vehicles while they are in flight, as opposed to aircraft needing to bring along all of their fuel with them. People today fly at the same speeds their great-grandparents flew at, Millman explained. In fact, airliners today fly slightly slower than airliners in the 1960s and 1970s. The primary limiting factor, he noted, was the need for vehicles to carry all of the fuel they need with them on board in the form of antiquated fossil fuels. And while ground vehicles have finally begun their electric revolution in the last 25 years or so, yeah, right. The electric vehicle was invented in the 1920s. It was probably big oil that made it disappear. Okay, the dawn of electric flight has yet to take off. Okay, Robert Millman and Jeff Greason what they are doing is they're taking credit for a science that was discovered by and worked on by one of the greatest scientists of all time, if not the greatest scientist of all time, and the greatest mind of all time, is Nikola Tesla. That was the biggest project he was working on was wireless electricity, sending wireless electricity from a source on the ground to a vehicle of some kind, whatever vehicle is using the electricity. Wireless electricity. Electricity is the perfect form of energy in many ways except one. It does not store very well. Yeah, no kidding. That's why when I charge my batteries with the USB cord, my gadgets around the house, when I charge them, if I don't use the gadget, well, the battery eventually goes dead on its own without me using the electricity. So this statement is true. Said Millman, of the primary factor limiting electric flight, fossil fuels, on the other hand, are the worst form of energy in many ways except one. They store very well. All right? Unfortunately, storage is a huge part of the issue, as current electric aircraft prototypes must fly overly laden with heavy batteries. The limited storage offered by even the most advanced batteries severely limits flight times to mere fractions of those enjoyed by traditional aircraft. This roadblock has hampered the advancement of electric aircraft and is still the major roadblock in electric vehicles taking flight in any measurable way. So, Robert Millman and Jeff Greason are the newest inductees into the Chiselers Hall of Shame. All right. My Chiseler's Hall of Shame. Well, science goes on. Life goes on. Science goes on. Gotta love science. Gotta love technology. I love it. I think it's fantastic what they do with healthcare, medical profession, with the use of high technology, and in every way, every aspect of life, improving the quality of life. This is what technology does for all of us. Okay. Okay, Tommy Carroll, JPM, I can't keep a train on the track, let alone use solar panels. JPM, have you heard Mayor Pete is expecting again more maternity leave? What does he have, a surrogate mother? Did they use a turkey baster to impregnate her? A surrogate mother? It's not like the movie that Arnold Schwarzenegger should never have made, where he got pregnant. It's not like that. Maybe they're paying a surrogate. Unbelievable. P Booty Jig, right? Booty Jig. JPM, Paulie Walnut's explanation of snakes was one of the best I've ever heard. Oh, Paulie Walnuts. May he rest in peace. The actor who played Paulie Walnuts. Poor guy. Anyway, what did he say about snakes? Bafangu. Hold on. Okay. Oh, they're not going to let me. They're not going to let me read this article unless I subscribe. So you know what? Goodbye, article. Unbelievable. Anyway, I'll read you what it's saying in the headline of what it says. China says it will firmly oppose forced sale of TikTok. Yeah, look, I have a TikTok account that is exploding. It's skyrocketing, going viral, if that's what you want to call it. And what about the massive amount of people? Not the dumbasses posting really ridiculous, imbecilic videos. Not them. The people that are running businesses, that are making much needed money to live on, and on TikTok. I know people that have businesses on TikTok. People are making money there. So the United States government, because they have to politicize everything, they're trying to sabotage TikTok. Okay, well, all those people that have businesses connected to their accounts, they're going to be really furious. All right, we got one more article. Oh, here we go. Well, there's a video. Yeah, I'm familiar with what this is about. Really, I can't I can't read such small font, but there's a video here. But I'm very familiar with it and very excited over this aspect of science. This article is called De-Extinction. Oh my God, the Hindenburg? Yeah. Because didn't it like blow up when it was just about to land, when it reached its destination? Is that when the Hindenburg exploded? That was suspicious. Okay, I believe the Hindenburg reached its destination and was ready to descend, and the fact that it blew up at that time, I think it's suspicious. All right, this is called de-extinction. Okay, now it has to do with bringing back extinct species of animals through cloning, but because, as you well know, many, and this is the sad part, many extinct species of animals became extinct because of human interaction, through over-harvesting, through the evil greed of humanity. You know, like, if the dodo bird tasted good, okay, roasted over a wood fire, why on earth did they have to kill every one of them? The European settlers. I think it might have been the Dutch that did that. But nevertheless, it's the European mentality. Why be greedy and kill every one of them? It's like, it should be like the fishing industry, like commercial crabbers. You don't take females loaded with eggs. You make sure that future generations are protected. You just don't wipe out a species. And this is how many of God's creatures have become threatened and endangered and then extinct. And if they're lucky, they'll find enough to start a breeding program, if they're lucky. But in order to bring back and clone an extinct species, you have to have a perfect strand of DNA. The DNA must be perfectly intact. It can't be flawed. Otherwise, you can't clone the extinct species. Okay, now let me play this. Let me see if it'll play and give us good information. Okay. I'm waiting.
He's got a great swing.
Seeing the world in a new light
So focused.
starts with the right opportunity. City Gold clients have access to preferred benefits
Yeah,
like
City
live
Gold,
events.
my balls.
Because seeing something yourself can change everything.
Now, extinction is a different kind of death. It's bigger. We didn't really realize that until 1914, when the last passenger pigeon, a female named Martha, died at the Cincinnati Zoo. This had been the most abundant bird in the world. It had been in North America for 6 million years. Suddenly it wasn't here at all. Flocks that were a mile wide and 400 miles long used to darken the sun. Aldo Leopold said this was a biological storm, feathered tempest. And indeed, it was a keystone species that enriched the entire eastern deciduous forest, from the Mississippi to the Atlantic, from Canada down to the Gulf. But it went from 5 billion birds to 0 in just a couple decades. What happened? Well, commercial hunting happened. These birds were hunted for meat that was sold by the ton. And it was easy to do because when those big flocks came down to the ground, they were so dense that hundreds of hunters and netters could show up and slaughter them by the tens of thousands. It was the cheapest source of protein in America. By the end of the century, there was nothing left but these beautiful skins in museum specimen drawers. There's an upside to the story. This made people realize that the same thing was about to happen to the American bison. And so these birds saved the buffaloes. But a lot of other animals weren't saved. The Carolina parakeet was a parrot that lit up backyards everywhere. It was hunted to death for its feathers. There's a bird that people liked on the East Coast called the heath hen. It was loved. They tried to protect it. It died anyway. A local newspaper spelled out, there's no survivor. There's no future. There's no life to be recreated in this form ever again. There's a sense of deep tragedy that goes with these things. And it happened to lots of birds that people loved. It happened to lots of mammals. Another keystone species is a famous animal called the European oryx. There's sort of a movie made about it recently. And the oryx was like the bison. This was an animal that basically kept the forest mixed with grasslands across the entire Europe and Asian continent, from Spain to Korea. The documentation on this animal goes back to the Lascaux cave paintings. The extinctions still go on. There's an ibex in Spain called the bucardo, went extinct in 2000. There was a marvelous animal, a marsupial wolf called the thylacine in Tasmania, south of Australia, called the Tasmanian tiger. It was hunted until there were just a few left to die in zoos. A little bit of film was shot. Sorrow, anger, mourning. Don't mourn, organize. What if you found out that using the DNA in museum specimens and fossils, maybe up to 200,000 years old, could be used to bring species back? What would you do? Where would you start? Well, you start by finding out if the biotech is really there. I started with my wife, Ryan Phelan, who ran a biotech business called DNA Direct. And through her, one of her colleagues, George Church, one of the leading genetic engineers, who turned out to be also obsessed with passenger pigeons, and a lot of confidence that methodologies he was working on might actually do the deed. So he and Ryan organized and hosted a meeting at the Wyss Institute in Harvard, bringing together specialists in passenger pigeons, conservation ornithologists, bioethicists. And fortunately, passenger pigeon DNA had already been sequenced by a molecular biologist named Beth Shapiro. All she needed from those specimens at the Smithsonian was a little bit of toe pad tissue. Because down in there is what is called ancient DNA. It's DNA which is pretty badly fragmented, but with good techniques now, you can basically reassemble the whole genome. Then the question is, can you reassemble with that genome the whole bird? George Church thinks you can. So in his book, Regenesis, which I recommend, he has a chapter in the science of bringing back extinct species. And he has a machine called the multiplex automated genome engineering machine. It's kind of like an evolution machine. You try combinations of genes that you write at the cell level and then in organs on a chip, and the ones that win that you can then put into a living organism. It'll work. The precision of this, one of George's famous unreadable slides, nevertheless points out that there's a level of precision here right down to the individual base pair. The passenger pigeon has 1.3 billion base pairs in its genome. So what you're getting is the capability now of replacing one gene with another variation of that gene. It's called an allele. Well, that's what happens in normal hybridization anyway. So this is a form of synthetic hybridization of the genome of an extinct species with the genome of its closest living relative. Now, along the way, George points out that his technology, the technology of synthetic biology, is currently accelerating at 4 times the rate of Moore's law. It's been doing that since 2005, and it's likely to continue. Okay, the closest living relative of the passenger pigeon is the band-tailed pigeon. They're abundant. There's some around here. Genetically, the band-tailed pigeon already is mostly living passenger pigeon. There's just some bits that are band-tailed pigeon. If you replace those bits with passenger pigeon bits, you've got the extinct bird back cooing at you. Now, there's work to do. You have to figure out exactly what genes matter. So there's genes for the short tail in the band-tailed pigeon, genes for the long tail in the passenger pigeon, so on with the red eye, peach-colored breast, flocking, and so on. You add them all up, the result won't be perfect, but it should be perfect enough because nature doesn't do perfect either. So this meeting in Boston led to 3 things. First off, Ryan and I decided to create a nonprofit called Revive and Restore that would push de-extinction generally and try to have it go in a responsible way. And we would push ahead with the passenger pigeon. Another direct result was a young grad student named Ben Novak, who'd been obsessed with passenger pigeons since he was 14 and had also learned how to work with ancient DNA, himself sequenced the passenger pigeon using money from his family and friends. We hired him full-time. Now, this photograph I took of him last year at the Smithsonian, he's looking down at Martha, the last passenger pigeon alive. So if he's successful, she won't be the last. The third result of the Boston meeting was the realization that there are scientists all over the world working on various forms of de-extinction, but they'd never met each other. And the National Geographic got interested because National Geographic has the theory that the last century discovery was basically finding things, and in this century discovery is basically making things. De-extinction falls in that category. So they hosted and funded this meeting of 35 scientists. They were conservation biologists, molecular biologists, basically meeting to see if they had work to do together. Some of these conservation biologists are pretty radical. There's 3 of them who are not just recreating ancient species, they're recreating extinct ecosystems in northern Siberia, in the Netherlands, and in Hawaii. Henry from the Netherlands, with a Dutch last name I won't try to pronounce, is working on the aurochs. The aurochs is the ancestor of all domestic cattle. And so basically its genome is alive, it's just unevenly distributed. So what they're doing is working with 7 breeds of primitive, hardy-looking cattle like that Marimana primitivo on the top there to rebuild over time with selective backbreeding the aurochs. Now, rewilding is moving faster in Korea than it is in America. And so the plan is with these rewilded areas all over Europe, they will introduce the aurochs to do its old job, its old ecological role of clearing the somewhat barren closed canopy forest so that it has these biodiverse meadows in it. Another amazing story came from Alberto Fernandez Arias. Alberto worked with Bucardo in Spain. The last Bucardo was a female named Celia who was still alive, but then they captured her. They got a little bit of tissue from her ear. They cryopreserved it in liquid nitrogen, released her back to the wild, but a few months later, she was found dead under a fallen tree. They took the DNA from that ear. They planted it as a cloned egg in a goat. Pregnancy came to term, and a live baby Bucardo was born. It was the first de-extinction in history. It was short-lived. Sometimes interspecies clones have respiration problems. This one had a malformed lung and died after 10 minutes. But Alberto is confident that cloning has moved along well since then, and this will move ahead, and eventually there will be a population of Bucardos back in the mountains in northern Spain.
Okay. This, hold on. This video, this lecture by this gentleman was done in 2013. So could you imagine how advanced they are now? with the whole cloning process. They're really they're on the verge of bringing back the woolly mammoth. That excites the hell out of me. They're going to use the Asian elephant in the cloning process. Okay, to bring back the woolly mammoth and the Tasmanian tiger, which is the largest, was the largest marsupial in the world. They were killed because they were preying on livestock by the settlers, you know. Okay. Let me get set up here. All right. Okay, Tommy Carroll. Yeah, well, normally I would say because China is ignoring international maritime law and not respecting waters that don't belong to them, I would say, based on this fact, I would say yes, I do expect them to start World War III. But there's too much at stake, you know, with manufacturing, the economy. I mean, manufacturing for most likely every business in the world, it occurs in mainland China. And the United States shouldn't feel threatened by China's successful economy getting bigger and better by the year, because it was corporate America that brought manufacturing to mainland China and taught the Chinese how to run big business. The greed of corporate America not wanting to pay American workers a living wage with decent benefits. Okay, and they did the same thing, outsource all manufacturing. Bangladesh had some outsourcing. The United States and other countries outsourced to Bangladesh. And the customer service inbound call centers, they're in the Philippines now. And now, not only are they in the Philippines, some of them are in South America. Like I called a medical chain that where my primary doctor belonged to, and I had to make a call to some main office to straighten something out with the bill that I received. There was a problem with the bill. Inaccuracy. The customer service agent was in Colombia, South America. So they don't want to pay Americans a living wage. So all this is outsourced, office work, you know, so on and so forth. It's all outsourced. Well, socialism actually, the truth, the reality of Karl Marx teachings, his first writings, it represents the wealthy, the top 1%, some say top 2%, exploiting hoarding all the resources of the country, all the prosperity, and exploiting the bottom 98%. Pretty much wanting to bring back slave labor, just like the sweatshops in the turn of the century with the Industrial Revolution and the greedy, underhanded, sleazy J.P. Morgan, and who stabbed all of his oligarch buddies in the back, okay, and put them out of business. And socialism is where the people, we the people, pretty much run the country, not the fat cats. And every citizen has a right to vote. They have a right to hear and be heard. And unfortunately, we have the two corrupt major political parties arranging it so only they appear on the ballot. Okay. Now, every state should allow other political parties, a third party, whatever, the Reform Party, the Green Party, whatever. At one time, they were all on the ballot. Okay, because whether it be Democrats or Republicans, they're in bed with the oligarch. They're corporate whores, just like the U.S. media, owned by the same oligarch. And socialism, as Bernie Sanders sees it, is what they have in the Scandinavian countries, what they've had in the Scandinavian countries for decades. And the people are happier than a pig in shit over there. I don't believe any right-wing propaganda that tells me that Scandinavia is a mess. Really, they have the most perfect system. And to cut to the chase, yeah, the rich pay their fair share in taxes. Listen, Ronald Reagan is the one that changed the tax system and put the burden on the middle class. Okay, and sent and arranged it for the rich to be on a permanent tax vacation. Okay, the middle class are the only ones who deserve the tax breaks. The only ones, because the middle class is Main Street. The middle class is the small emerging growth companies, the little guy, the small businesses, the mom and pop stores, the self-employed career people, like the CPAs and physicians. The middle class is the backbone of the U.S. economy, so they deserve the tax breaks. But Reagan changed it, and this is what we're trying to go back to, the original tax system. Eisenhower, who was a great president, he was a Republican. I think he had, the rich were on the original high tax rate, and everything was peachy keen, everything was milk and honey, prosperity, the 1950s, okay, prosperity years. And that's how Scandinavia is. The little guy is taken care of in every way. The worker is taken care of. People are happy. They're happy. They live their lives. They enjoy their lives. They're not working in sweatshops. They're not overly taxed. And that's how it should be. Life is short anyway. But if the rich are always crying, no matter what, If the rich paid the original high tax rate, guess what? They're still rich. They're still living high on the hog, like Boss Hog. I don't feel sorry for them. Really, I don't. They can afford, especially the multi-billionaires, they can afford to pay the original high tax rate. And trickle-down economics has always been a lie. Nothing trickles down. You're lucky if it drips down. What happens is it pools at the top. It pools at the top. It's like, okay, I poured my chai tea with peppermint tea in this mug, and I keep pouring it, and it's ready to overflow as I'm pouring it. But before it overflows, I get a bigger mug, and it goes into that. And then before that one overflows, I get an even bigger mug. That's what happens. That's the truth about trickle down. Trickle dickle. Trickle dickle pissle down is what capitalism is. Pissle down economics. Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. We could be living in the end times. It's all the signs, the predictions from the Bible, whether it be Nostradamus, the great psychic Jeannie Dixon, who used a crystal ball. She made some predictions that came true. Many famous prophets, and psychics have hit the nail on the head. Yeah, we might be living in the end times. 40-pound pigeon. Why, you want to eat it? I just want to see these beautiful extinct birds come back from extinction. You see how beautiful the feathers were on the Carolina parakeet, which is extinct. The Carolina parakeet was a beautiful parrot. It really was. And because they wanted to use the feathers for women's hats, you see, for profit, exploiting the animal for profit. And then when they're all gone, what do you have? You have nothing. Oh dear. Okay, now I'm going to send a link out. Yes, I am late to send the link out, but I didn't want to kill myself. I just wanted to just relax and just set the pace, because my show is usually long anyway. Just send the thing out, and let's see. Oh man. Oh. Bear with me. I know I always say that. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay. All right. I'm sending the links out for the panel. Okay. So I baited the hook. I baited the lure. I cast the lure. We'll see who we get on the panel for this week's Progressive Discussions. Tomorrow I'll be doing the show called Red Pill Man Cave. It's a different show, different format. And that will be starting at 3 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunday, of course, tomorrow. I know some people are fanatical about college basketball and college football, and I could care less about the college teams, really. So I'm just going to relax and sip another hot cup of the chai and peppermint tea. With the warming Indian spices. And I hope everyone is getting psyched for the next holiday, which is Easter Sunday weekend. I think that's 2 weeks away. Not next weekend, but the following will be Easter Sunday. The resurrection. I believe I won't be home. I'll be at my sister's house like I usually are for holiday weekends, and she'll be making a big smoked ham. Maybe one of her award-winning lasagnas. Maybe. She might be doing that too. I don't know. When she makes lasagna, let me tell you, it's not tiny like you get in the pizzeria. It's huge. She uses a roaster pan. I'll tell you. The lasagna is like several inches high. And she just loads it up, with cheese and the meat sauce. And now the thing with homemade lasagna, and you can apply it to any Italian pasta recipe that requires it to go in the oven and bake. When you boil the lasagna noodles, do not cook it. Do not boil it that much. It should be like a diving board. It should be stiff. It should just flex. It should not be limp and soft, because you're going to end up with mush. You don't want mush. Okay, since it's going in the oven, it's going to cook more. So you want the noodles to be maybe a quarter to a third cooked when you boil it. Okay, like normally when you're boiling any dumpling, pasta, it doesn't matter what it is, tortellinis, gnocchis, raviolis, any type of any dough related food. Don't pay attention to the directions. You don't boil it for 10 minutes. You don't boil it for 15 minutes. You boil it until they float to the surface. Then you strain it immediately. You get the colander and you strain it immediately and remove it from the boiling process, because then it starts to get too soft. So the perfect indicator to when any pasta or dumpling is completely cooked, it could be spaghetti, is when, like I said, ravioli, tortellini, they start to float. Once it starts to float to the surface, strain it off immediately. Strain it. Okay. And I don't. The only canned. Well, it's not jarred. This company doesn't jar it, but the only pre-made sauce that I will ever use if I just am too tired to make anything from scratch, and it's exactly like homemade or restaurant sauce. It's a company called Cento. All right, capital CENTO. Go and look for Cento white clam sauce or red clam sauce, or just buy both. And the small can is exactly the right amount for a half a pound of spaghetti. They also have a spaghetti sauce in a can, but let me tell you, it's exactly like homemade. It blows away anything you've ever had in a jar. Forget about jarred sauces. I've had so many, and they gave me terrible acid reflux. They were terrible. Some of them are too sweet. Some of them have like corn syrup in it. You don't want that. Oh, let's see what we got here. Let me see if somebody in particular. Let me tell them. I'm talking about food now. Come on the show. I'm just telling my friend, Mr. Gabriel Salaya, a Mexican man, a good friend of mine from Arizona. And he's a foodie like myself. I think Ronnie Simpson is at a spring training baseball game. That's where I think he is. Normally he's on. Paul Anthony Mantia, Rockin' Paul. He hasn't seen it yet. Let me see. My good old friend from mainland China. Hello, greetings, Tian Mei. I'm on my live show now. Too bad you can't come on my show. I am live on YouTube. Let me give her nice greetings from the United States here. Hello, Tian Mei. I am live on YouTube. I started an hour and 45 minutes ago. Okay, that's Tian Mei from mainland China. Okay. We might as well chew the fat right now. CPM, what's your opinion on the critical race theory? Correction, JPM. Critical race theory? Well, listen, there's no one as progressive and far to the left as me. But the one thing I'm not a neoliberal. I can't stand the Democrat Party. I hate neoliberals. I despise feminists, because I think their objective is the destruction of normal, traditional, heterosexual relationships and the family. They hate men. And as far as neoliberalism goes, I am not in favor of giving special treatment to any specific lobbying group. I don't believe in giving special treatment to any lobbying group, any race, gay, lesbian. I refuse to take a back seat and let someone cut ahead in line if I'm online. I don't give special treatment to anyone, and I just flat out refuse. I'm not a fan of affirmative action. And that's it. My family doesn't owe anyone any reparations. They don't owe anyone anything. Okay, my family, my relatives came over in the early 20th century from Sicily, and we were just regular folks. So no, I refuse to give special treatment. So I guess you would say my left-wing political stance would be just simply doing the right thing in life. Be fair to everyone, and just do the right thing. Okay, thank you, Tom and Carol. Oh, you work the graveyard shift? Well, you always say you're off to work. What do you do during the graveyard shift? You must be working a graveyard shift on a Saturday, overnight on a Saturday. Oh, I know who wanted to be on the show. Oh man, hold on. I know who wanted to be on the show. Here he is. Okay. Well, let's see. Anyway, thank you for stopping by, Tommy Carroll. Gunnar Lindblom, thank you for stopping by. Bart Robinson, you might be around. Maybe you're not. Maybe you went out. Maybe you're getting sleepy. Who knows? You never know. Maybe at the last minute somebody will jump on. Well, I'm not going to hang out here all night long, so I'll just take my time. I'm not sure how many of you watched the beginning of my show, but if you have any issues that are troubling you and you want to leave a comment or ask me a question or just do some back and forth bantering about any issue, feel free. Now, if anyone out there happens to be a knowledgeable progressive or just knowledgeable in general, no trolls, no right-wing trolls, no trolls at all, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link to come on the show by way of webcam. For those that are not too shy, all right, even if you have the perfect face for radio, doesn't matter. You're still welcome to come on down. Come on down. Now tomorrow's show, Red Pill Man Cave, it's in the afternoon. So, I play my kazoo, my Jew's harp. I haven't played the African drum in a long time. I could play the African drum. It depends what mood I'm in. But Saturday night, I guess I could play. I'm not really in the mood to make a lot of noise. I'll play it tomorrow. Tomorrow is a fun show. Usually myself, the Commodore Jeff Zambello, and Mick Von Raven, and Geordie from Scotland. Usually those are the co-hosts that are with me on the Sunday show, Red Pill Man Cave. It's a fun-filled, just relaxed, anything goes, uncensored, unscripted. It's a good show. You'll enjoy it. But anyway, this is the link to come on the show via webcam. Hold on, let me check something out here. What? Oh, God. What is this YouTube video? The kissing machine lets users make out long distance? Who cares? Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. Oh, I can't. I wouldn't even do a share screen with that. It's so stupid. I'm very surprised that Gabriel Salaya would even show me such a video. Oh well. Well, I'm going to close down the show. I mean, okay. Anybody out there that wants to discuss any particular subject? I used to be on a alcoholic beverage review show with Mr. Ronald Theriot from Louisiana Beer Review, Louisiana Liquor Review. I used to do Fandango Friday every week. That was a lot of fun. I was doing that for quite some time, and then occasionally I used to be on Mr. Eric Fraunfelter's show, Wildcard Wednesday, from Massachusetts Beer Review. And it was a lot of fun, you know. But my desire to buy alcoholic beverages is not what it once was. I mean, I never drink to intoxication. I actually enjoyed the flavor of a good craft beer, or it could be a hard cider or a good wine, you know, and just to relax, take the edge off of life. That's all. And but I made many good friends on these shows, and just like I made good friends on my old school fitness Facebook group. I have another group called Original Holistic Health Talk. Then I have the fitness group. And then I have a group that is really a lot of fun. If you're a foodie, a food connoisseur, or you're a craft beer connoisseur, or even if you're a whiskey connoisseur, it's called Everything is Food. That's my my Facebook group, which I created in 2012. Now, with the YouTube channel, that's been around since 2007. That's when I first started with the progressive internet talk shows. But my original co-host is deceased, the Reverend Dr. William J. Eiserman. So I pay homage to him when I created the YouTube channel. So the YouTube channel is in honor of him. Actually, he's the one that came up with the name Progressive Discussions. Okay, may he rest in peace. God rest his soul. This is to you, Reverend Dr. Bill. You know, all those shows are in playlists. Well, they're all archived on the YouTube channel here. So, and all of his readings from his newsletter are there too. He was the managing editor of a newsletter called Censored, and all of his readings are there in an archive playlist. So anyway, that's it. Sayonara. Arrivederci, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow, God willing, on Red Pill Man Cave, which will start at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, right here from this YouTube channel. Bye-bye.